afternoon, and thank you for joining our news broadcast from Davis Hall. My name is Doug Seipel.
And I'm Anna Sloan, bringing you stories relevant to IUP and the Indiana community.
Today we will share stories about anticipation of election next week.
We will also have a story about an IUP sports team this semester. But first, we begin with stories close to us.
It's Halloween this week. Several organizations across campus had their own Halloween celebrations. One of them is Communications Department that will celebrate what they call Comoween. Students will be viewing a cheesy horror movie, enjoying costume competition. Other college students are celebrating Halloween with partying and having fun this weekend. In Indiana neighborhood, dozens of parents are preparing their children for the Halloween season to go trick-or-treat.
IUP's International Office held a celebration for Unity Day last Friday. International students from more than a dozen countries introduced to show their culture to IUP students and the Indiana community with musical performances. They also welcomed visitors with cultural presentations from their countries and served international food that they prepared on their own. Among countries that were represented were Honduras, Syria, Japan, Nigeria, and others. The event took place in the Hub Ohio room. The event was very successful. Nearly all the seats were filled.
The election will take place in less than a week. Former President Trump held 2 more visits to Pennsylvania. While this goes on, Donald Trump's campaign sued Bucks County on Wednesday morning over claims of cheating and voter intimidation. This situation happened in Bucks County with a voter who wanted to apply for an early mail ballot. The lawsuit sought a 1-day extension for voters to apply in person for a mail-in ballot. The judge's order permits applications. A judge in Harrisburg sided with Donald Trump, allowing people to get mail-in ballots until Friday.
More eyes focused on Pennsylvania since the Keystone State is very important in the election. Both candidates focused on this state with different strategies. Local officials have also tried to prepare by removing fraud ballots that were raised by Donald Trump or strange voter registrations. They also have confirmed that the system will work for the upcoming election.
Still ahead on IUP News, we will report about election in IUP.
And along with IUP students participating in sports and music.
Looking for some new entertainment? Check out IUP TV today. This station features student-created content such as The Big Hit for sports coverage, Animation Nation for all things anime and toon, Indie Rockers Ball for local music acts, Press Start for your game fix, and Witticism for a laugh. Tune in on Campus TV or on our respective YouTube channels today. There's something for everyone, made by the people that you know.
Donald Trump had a rally in Madison Square Garden in New York on October 27th. Madison Square Garden is a massive multi-stadium that has a capacity of over 2,000. At this rally, dozens of Republican celebrities and allies made an appearance, such as former Fox News host Tucker Carlson and billionaire and Twitter owner Elon Musk. One of the guests was stand-up comedian Tony Hinchcliffe. He made a racist statement about Puerto Rico, calling the island a floating piece of trash. Members of the Puerto Rican community called out and criticized the statement made by Hinchcliffe as racist and hateful. Many of the members of the Republican Party tried to distance themselves from the racist comment. Since the rally, Trump has been trying to redeem his image with Puerto Ricans, but he has never condemned the statement made by Hinchcliffe.
Chicago will be receiving around $15 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as a part of a national movement to try and address homelessness. Marian Mulligan McFadden, a HUD Assistant Secretary for Community Development, will be making the announcement on Wednesday at the Covenant House. The Covenant House is an organization that helps homeless youths. Chicago has been merging homeless shelters with the homeless system. All Chicago Making Homelessness History, the nonprofit organizations behind this event, will receive the most funding from the program. The $15 million will be given out once. All Chicago Making Homelessness History has a plan for what to do with the money.
When we come back, we will have international news. Please stay tuned.
We all have a story. It's telling those stories that matter. That's why IUP's communications program airs its own news bulletin on IUP TV and 90.1 WIUP FM, with the people you know telling the stories. Here, there are new aspiring journalists ready to start their career strong. Even if news isn't your goal, there is a place here for everyone. This is IUP News, with stories relevant to IUP and the Indiana community.
Incredible discoveries have come to light in the dense jungles of Mexico. Archaeologists have uncovered a vast Maya city hidden for centuries beneath a thick jungle. The newly discovered city, called Valeriana, is located in Campeche State and offers a unique glimpse into ancient Maya civilization. Archaeologists succeeded with this discovery with the help of advanced laser technology known as LiDAR. LiDAR scans something incredible, a city with pyramids, sports fields, amphitheaters, and causeways that connected different districts.
Japan's political landscape has been shaken following a major defeat for Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, ruling party or LDP, and its coalition partner in parliamentary election. After only a month in office, Ishiba's leadership faces serious challenges, as his party lost its majority in Japan's lower house. This election loss is a surprising setback for the LDP, a party that has governed Japan since 1955. Political analysts say the result reflects growing public anger over repeated financial scandals. They have rocked the LDP's reputation. Japan is considered as the most stable democracy in Asia. Now there are worries that the political stability.
A devastating conflict in Sudan has forced over 14 million people from their homes, creating the world's largest displacement crisis this year. United Nations agencies are reporting that the scale of violence and abuse, particularly targeting women and children, is overwhelming. The International Organization for Migration, or IOM, says more than 11 million Sudanese are now displaced within the country, with another 3.1 million seeking refuge across borders. Many of these fleeing are women and young children under 5 years old, living under dire conditions in camps with limited resources. The UN fact-finding mission has reported disturbing levels of sexual violence in the country. Women and girls are being abducted and subjected to sexual slavery, often targeted by paramilitary groups. The crisis stems from a brutal power struggle that erupted in April 2023 between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, a former paramilitary ally.
Coming up, we'll have a story about voting in IUP,
as well as the politicians who held rallies in IUP.
Let's talk about mental health. Not many people realize that your mental health is just as important as your physical. As college students, many different factors can contribute to poor mental health, such as the pressure to succeed, financial instability, social media, and poor health habits. So how do you maintain good mental health? Exercising multiple times a week, eating better on a daily basis, drinking less, and setting achievable goals for yourself are great ways to stay on top.
Election day is approaching. Everyone who's able to vote will prepare for the special day. IUP has several new voters getting ready for their first election. Anna Sloan has the story about where students can vote and why it's important to vote IUP election. Anna?
The 2024 presidential election is approaching quickly, and the students at Indiana University of Pennsylvania are gearing up to make their voices heard. On Tuesday, November 5th, the polls will open for the community and students to cast their ballots. Presidential candidates Harris and Trump have been the focus point of the country for the past few months, while touching on key topics like the economy, social issues, and climate change. Many students are preparing to participate in the democratic process, as Pennsylvania is a key battle state in the election. Junior Sydney Kolese tells us why she believes it is important to vote in the 2024 presidential election.
I think it's important to vote in this upcoming election because a lot of our rights are on the line, and it's definitely going to affect our future as young adults. And I think that everybody should have a say in how the government's ran. If you think it's one way, you should vote. There's no reason to not vote, I feel.
This election, in particular, is very important for the younger generation and citizens to vote. This will likely shape the future of many. Voting polls will be set up on IUP's campus. Those who live on campus will have the opportunity to vote at Zink Hall. You must bring a form of ID. iCards, a Pennsylvania's driver's license, or your voter registration card are all acceptable forms of ID. Thomas Rainey, a student here at IUP, shares what he has seen around campus in preparation for the election.
I've seen a few events. More recently, there was a rally held for the Democratic Committee here on campus, and I hear that was pretty big. There was a lot of people participating in that. And I've seen it around campus, just in small little booths. I don't personally know which organization's running those things, but I still see they're like, hey, vote, here's this little pin, or something like that. So I think there's a lot of options for students to look for when it comes to like what they want to do for voting from a lot of organizations. They just have to look.
Although this will be the first time voting in a presidential election for many students here at IUP, students are making their mark and proving that every vote matters. This is Anna Sloan and Doug Seipel reporting for IUP News.
With the intensity of this election ramping up, several political events happened in Pennsylvania, from the pro-Palestine protest, the Democratic rally, to former President Trump visiting IUP's campus. Carson Zadroga has the story.
This upcoming U.S. election is certainly a tense one. 2 failed assassinations of President Donald Trump, the stand-down of Joe Biden, and the rise of Kamala Harris as the front-runner. This is certainly an unexpected election for this year. The events at IUP have proven that. I'm going to go over the events at IUP in the past months that have shown the tension of the election in Pennsylvania and throughout this country. On Wednesday, the 23rd, in the Oak Grove, the IUP student Democrats had a rally from 6 to 9. This event had several clubs and organizations attend to show support of the Democrats. This included clubs like Students for Sustainability, Outdoor Club, and even a fraternity. This event had several speakers, including Congressman Maxwell Frost, who spoke to Democrats about his concerns and his policies, and why they should support Kamala Harris.
We think about the climate crisis, we think about gun violence, we think about housing. I was out on the trail in North Carolina a few weeks ago and a young person came up to me. They mentioned those 3 issues. They said, Maxwell, tell me, why should I vote for Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump? I said, well, number one, Donald Trump doesn't even have a platform on those 3 issues. In fact, Donald Trump's platform is, I don't like Kamala's. That's his platform. So the difference here is we have an opposition candidate and we have a proposition candidate. We have someone who wants to say no to everything and someone who's actually giving us plans. When we talk about the climate crisis, it's no longer about polar bears and ice caps in some faraway land. It's hitting us now. My hometown of Orlando, we just experienced 2 back-to-back 100-year storms and 5 100-year flooding events in just 2 weeks.
On the other side of the election, former President Trump had a rally in the KCAC, on the other side of the campus. The rally had dozens of people attend. Many students attended, many professors canceled class, and there were even students protesting against Donald Trump arriving. Donald Trump talked about his plan for America and what he will do for a second term.
So vote Trump and your incomes will soar, your net worth will skyrocket, your energy cost and grocery prices will come tumbling down, and we will bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. The American dream. Our country's an embarrassment. The whole world is laughing at us. We're going to be stronger. We're going to go after anybody that gets caught cheating on the election. We're going to go after them harder than anyone's ever been sought before. Because these people are really a threat. They are a threat to democracy. The Democrats are a threat to democracy. That's the real threat.
We talked to 2 of those voters, one from the protest, the other one from the Trump rally.
We are not visible for any of us to see, which is kind of restricting, I feel like. Because then, well, why are we here if there's no one for us to see? We're here to show awareness and make sure that people know that we're here and we're proud. And I just want my rights.
One thing I do like about him that he just came out with was no tax on overtime. And I'm a construction worker. I go out all the time. I'm a safety specialist. Graduate from IUP. Work a lot of overtime. I know 2 weeks ago I paid $1,600 in taxes for 1 week's worth of work. And if his policy gets enacted, that would be cut in half.
This election has been very tense. Just a few days ago, Trump's rally generated controversy around a joke that comedian Tom Hinchcliffe made about Puerto Rico being a floating piece of trash. The Puerto Rican community has condemned as racist. This election has fired up dozens of voters. Even in IUP, there has been quite a few controversial things that have happened. For one thing, a lot of the students protesting against Donald Trump were pushed back into a certain square so they would not be able to protest against and around Trump voters. They were essentially sidelined, and they were pushed and threatened by Trump security.
What we cannot happen again is what just happened. It has been very well informed to you guys that you are not allowed in that particular area. That's why we have given you your own area. So unfortunately, next time we're going to have to get local law enforcement involved, all right?
This election is as tight as ever. The polls show Trump and Harris are very close. Each candidate is polling between 45 and 47%. This election is likely to be decided a few days after counting. Make sure to go vote this election, and please stay safe. This is Carson Zdroga for IUP News.
Still ahead on IUP News, we'll have a story about sports.
And a story about Democrats and music students.
Let me tell you something. Whatever it took you to get here will take you anywhere you want to go. You may not have it figured out right now, and that's okay. There are people here who do, and they believe in you. But you gotta put in the work. And if you go all in, if you commit to something bigger, IUP will take you further than you ever imagined. Because it's not about who you are when you arrive. It's about who you become. IUP. Grow here.
At the beginning of the semester, IUP football started out with an impressive first few games, until recently, where they have had a mixed win-to-lose ratio. Julia Lathan and Alexis Smith give us the story about their mindsets and friendships.
It may be a small town, but something big is brewing. Here in Indiana, Pennsylvania, there are many establishments that attract the community, from cozy cafes to busy stores, but there's one thing that everyone can come together for, and that's college football. The IUP football team has been making headlines with their impressive 4-1 start. But what's their secret behind their winning streak? It all comes down to the exceptional teamwork between their offense and defense. On the defensive side, the Crimson Hawks have been relentless. They managed to consistently shut down their opponents with winning scores of 42-14 against Millersville and 31-0 to Clarion. Logan Danielson is a standout defensive lineman for the IUP football team. With his incredible skills and drive on the field, Logan has been a key player in the team's impressive 4-1 start this season. How do you support the team on and off the field to maintain team morale and chemistry?
You know, team chemistry is built from the second we show up in the summer for camp. You just spend so much time with the guys that naturally you become close, you become brothers on and off the field, and you find yourself later in the season, you know, going out to get something to eat with your teammates or watching the Sunday night football games with all your teammates. So I'd say it's a natural thing that occurs just with how much time is spent together.
What specific strategies have you been focusing on to keep the defense strong?
I'd say one of the biggest things about keeping our defense strong is making sure all the guys are healthy and ready to go for Saturdays. So, you know, we will work our practices so that all the guys can stay fresh and ready to go on Saturdays. I wouldn't say there's one specific strategy that keeps our defense strong because we have different game plans to limit opposing offenses every week.
But it's not just the defense that's shining. The offensive side racks up points even in their toughest battle against their rival, Slippery Rock. IUP lost by 1 point against Slip, with the final score being 32-33. But their defining factor of what makes them so great is that they never gave up. J.D. Younger, known for his speed and agility, is a running back for IUP. He is a powerhouse player when it comes to gaining yards and slipping through defenses. How do you and your teammates develop and practice to keep the offense unpredictable?
I would say that the coaches take us through a various of run and pass plays that you split up 50-50. You can either run as simple as it is, you can either run the ball or pass the ball. So you practice enough run plays and you practice enough pass plays in a week that you get to Saturday and it's just easy to call those run or pass plays that you practice and keep the defense on their toes, I'd say.
How do you stay motivated and focused when facing strong defenses?
I'd say that, like the previous question you asked before, like preparation, everybody prepares, but like trusting your training, that's what my coach says. He says trust in your training. So you practice those plays, and then when, say, the play gets stopped, you got another play that you practice, and then it's going to keep them on their toes to where that play might work, and then you go back to the previous play, then that might work too again, and then you keep chopping. And no matter how strong they are, you could eventually nick them up and then get through it. Like, it's, the defense may look strong, but it's always a way to get through it, I'd say.
With both sides of the team performing impressively, it's no wonder the Crimson Hawks are soaring this season. The teamwork and mutual support between the offense and defense have created a winning formula that's hard to beat. As the season progresses, fans are excited to see how far the talented team can go. With their current momentum, the sky's the limit. This is Alexis Smith and Julia Lathan reporting for IUP News.
One of the most important topics during the election is immigration. Our reporter Ram Sharma and Carson Jadroga has the story.
For decades, the promise of the American dream has drawn people from around the world to the United States. And this immigration has been a hot and burning political issue in the U.S. The immigration debate has far-fetched and big consequences, especially for U.S. citizens and immigrants from places like Central America, Mexico, and South Asia, as each candidate's plan could have a major impact on their lives.
They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States.
He'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
As per data reports, there are 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S., and Trump wants to deport them all. This is where many immigrants, especially those from Central American nations, fear that his hardline stance could lead to an increased raids and deportations. Some worry about policies that could separate families, leaving those without legal status in a riskier position.
Well, I think it's very simple, actually. The first thing that you have to do, and the first thing that President Trump will do, is stop the massive inflow of illegal aliens in the first place. You got to stop the bleeding before you can actually fix the problem here, and we still have thousands of people coming across the border illegally every single day. So the first thing you do, you re-implement deportations, you finish construction of the border wall, and you stop proposing mass amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. That solves the majority of the border problem on day one. President Trump already did it, and he will certainly do it again.
On the other hand, if Kamala Harris and the current administration's policies continue, the focus would likely be on creating legal pathways and addressing what she calls the root causes of migration. This could mean more resources for economic programs in Central America and more humane approaches towards asylum seekers.
We now, as of today, as of our visit, have lower undocumented immigrants and illegal immigration than Trump when he left office.
The foreign-born population in the U.S. has reached a record 47.8 million in 2023. Each year, approximately 1 million lawful permanent residents come to the U.S. and obtain green cards, where 400,000 temporary visa holders for work, study, or tourism arrive. The major debate is for those who enter illegally. Around 125,000 asylum seekers and refugees enter the U.S. each year. There are mixed perceptions about the immigration issues inside the U.S. What would it really mean for international communities regarding immigration policies that have been a hot debate in U.S. elections?
Most immigration experts say that policy doesn't make any difference whatsoever, right? They're so desperate to come, regardless of what they hear about how difficult it is, they try to come anyway. Well, one of the issues that many people don't realize is connected is climate change, right? A lot of these people are climate change refugees, right? Particularly from the Northern Triangle area, Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, right? A lot of people are coming from that area. They've been impacted greatly by droughts, right? Which is hurting their economy. It's making it difficult for them to find jobs. They're also impacted by violence in that area. But again, climate change makes that worse. Right? So other areas of the world as well. Many of the people who are seeking to come to the U.S., it's because of droughts or other kinds of difficulties that make the political conflicts worse in that country. So if we would do more to try to reduce our carbon emissions, that could help.
Historically, domestic issues like tax inflation and cost of living have played a greater role in U.S. elections. But this year, the immigration issue, including foreign policy, may be key to who wins the White House. This is Ram Sharma and Carson Droga for IUP News.
With all the stories around the election these past few weeks, IUP students continue focusing on their everyday lives and taking every step necessary to reach their goals. Our reporter, Danny Petro, has the story.
In any given day, you can hear music coming from Cogswell Music Hall. For music majors, Cogswell is like a second home. With spending so much time in Cogswell practicing, attending classes, and studying, it is only natural to feel like you are home. IUP offers 3 undergraduate degrees. It includes music education, music performance, and general music. Music education is the most popular among students. There are 25 music professors here at IUP. Meet Dr. Ferguson. She is the music education coordinator here at IUP.
It is really a very difficult program insofar as there's very little wiggle room. There's very few free electives. Our students are scheduled very, very tightly throughout the broad spectrum of the daylight hours. And there's just a lot of expectations for them to get things done in a very public way. I teach a variety of different things depending on the semester. I do think that all different schools have different cultures. This particular university has a very strong wind band and marching band tradition, whereas the university that I went to as an undergraduate had a very strong choral and music theater background, and that does change the kinds of things that we expect of our students and the things that we assume of our students.
Meet Grace Ann Bush, a senior music education major.
It's really nice. There's definitely a lot of experiences that I can get hands-on with teaching music, and then it's also very rigorous because you have to be in ensembles. So not only am I going to be a good music teacher, they also are training you to be a good musician on your primary instrument as well. We have very strong relationships with the professors, with our music professors. We have a really good one-on-one relationships with my studio professor just because we get lessons with them once a week. So we see them very one-on-one and have a good relationship. And then also we have small class sizes, so we're really close with like all of the music faculty. They know like our names personally. And I try to practice an hour a day. At least on my primary instrument, I practice an hour a day. And then I took piano lessons as well, so I tried to practice piano at least half an hour a day, 7 days a week. And then we also have to practice our secondary instruments in our class woodwinds and class brass and class percussion classes. I don't practice those as much.
Music majors have to take lessons from university professors and play in different music ensembles. Compared to music education, music performance have similar yet different requirements. Meet Jacob Lott, a transfer student from Clarion University. He is a music performance major.
I was originally a chemistry bachelor's, and I was like, I don't want to be behind a computer for the rest of my life. I want to make music, and I want to make people happy with music.
IUP is known for its really good music program and turning students into wonderful musicians and educators. IUP is a popular choice for anyone who wants to major in music. There are many opportunities for students to grow and harness their skills as a musician. This is Danny Petro reporting for IUP News.
That's going to do it for us today at IUP News. In association with IUP TV News and students looking for careers in the communications field, my name is Anna Sloan.
And I'm Doug Seipel. Be sure to follow our Instagram page at IUP_news and our YouTube channel at IUP News 4207. Please take care and have a safe weekend.